السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام.
Let's see where you guys are. Sorry, I'm just coming from Isha now, so I'm a little bit late. Right, let's start. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. We carry on with Zakatul Ibil, Zakah on camels. Who can give us a brief overview of what we've taken so far in this chapter, Zakatul Ibil? Naeem?
Sheikh, so the first thing that we obviously learned was there's three conditions. One, for be eligible. One, the camels need to be able to produce milk. Two, they need to reproduce. And three,
not need to be able to. A person is keeping them for that reason.
So a person is keeping them for reproduction. And three, they're grazing on Allah's land for more than half of the year. If he's buying hay or food for the animals for more than half a year, you do not have to pay zakat. Animals for transport, you do not need to pay zakat on them. Also, animals used for plowing, you don't pay zakat on them. And then when it comes to zakat on camels specifically, for less than 5 camels, you don't need to pay zakat. From 5 to 9 camels, you pay 1 sheep of zakat.
Hold on. Wait, I got one question for you. So let's say a person has a fleet of taxis. They have 1,000 Mercedes-Benz. Okay, they're using them for. Let's say they have a taxi company. Do they pay zakat on the Mercedes-Benz or no? Each Merc is worth $100,000.
Are they buying and selling those Mercedes, Sheikh?
The answer is in the question.
Then no, Sheikh. I don't think so.
No zakah. Why? Because the actual asset is being used to collect rental. So they're not buying and selling the Mercedes. Okay, let's say somebody has a car and they use it occasionally for Uber. What would you say, Alam Gheer?
Sheikh, I don't think so that they will pay the car on the car because it's like a machine. It's like something which is used for income generation.
Okay, and where did we get this mas'ala from? We're talking about camels. How did we get to cars?
Because
Ibrahim, hold on, Ibrahim.
Can you repeat that?
I said we're talking about camels. How did we get to cars here?
Because back then they had a similar function of cars.
Yeah, similar function. So we said the person who's using a camel to transport, okay, take a person from point A to point B, or to hold items like your couriers today. So you wouldn't pay zakah on the actual animal or asset, rather on the fees you're collecting if it reaches an nisab and the other conditions are fulfilled. And that's what they call, you can call qiyas. Qiyas is where you've got a ruling in the past, and then you've got something which is similar in the present, and you try to look for what's called the illah, the reasoning. Why was this ruling like this in the past, and then you try to get the same reason for the mas'ala you're doing qiyas of in the future, and or in the present, and then you come to a ruling. So for example, if you look at khamr, yes, we translate as wine or alcohol, and linguistically it comes to what covers the intellect. So if a person says, okay, drugs are not haram because there's no ayah or no hadith to show that they're not haram, so here we'll tell them, no, originally khamr, and anything that covers the intellect and the mind is haram. Hence, when you look at drugs, it's the same, if not worse. So it would take its ruling, and that comes under qiyas, and inshallah, you'll take that in detail. Okay, coming back to the threshold of zakah, Umar from India, let's start.
Bismillah. From 1 to 4, you don't pay any zakah. From
Right.
5 to 9, you pay 1 sheep. And from
Right.
10 to 14, you pay 2 sheep. And from 15 to 19, you pay 3 sheep. And from 20 to 24, you pay 4 sheep.
Ahsant. Right, stop.
Af-
After that, Umar al-Madani, did you learn? So this was all the sheep. The sheep
25.
are all, hold on, the sheep are up to 24, okay?
Yeah.
Right, so 1 to 4, 5 to 9, etc., as he mentioned. Then you draw a line. The next threshold starts from what? 25.
25 to 35.
Yeah, is what?
One camel who is bint al-Makhtar, I think.
Makhad. Ahsan, Makhad. Then
Then to 36 to 45.
yeah,
One camel between bint who has, I think, 2 years. Between
yeah,
2
2 years
years
and more.
and
Bintu Labun. Ahsant. And after that?
Bint al-Abud, this one?
Yes, Bintu Labun. After that? 46 to?
46 to 60.
Yeah. Help him. Alam Gheer.
One camel, but between
Alam Gheer.
30 years to 4 years.
طيب لحظة. Alam Gheer,
Yeah.
46 to 60.
Yeah, Jazra is over 3 years old.
46 to 60. Naeem.
Sheikh, it's khitqa.
Hiqqa with a ha. See what 2 days of weekend can do. You guys will forget. That's why you have to go over it every day. And then after that, next threshold, Ibrahim. From 61 to?
From 61 to 75 is jaza'a.
Jada, ahsan. So we said from 25 up to 75, and we mentioned the threshold, you're paying one camel each, okay, of different age groups, right? After that, what did we say? From 76 going onwards, Naeem.
Sheikh, it's 2 times bint Labun.
76 up to what?
90, Sheikh.
90.
Yes, Sheikh.
What's it? Binta Labun. Okay,
Yes,
this
sir.
was the last lesson. Binta Labun. And then next one, Ibrahim. 91 to?
91 to 120 is hiqqata.
Hiqqatan.
Hiqqatan.
Hiqqatan with a noon at the end. Okay. We stopped here, correct? So look, you took the first one with the sheep, then the second threshold with one camel each, then you got to double, and now you're almost at the end. So now you got from 121. The Hanafi madhab, this is the Hanafi madhab. So like 120 here is your reset button. So you're going to start counting from sheep again in 5. So you come back up to here. Where are we? I didn't write them all today, but 1 to 4, we said there's nothing. And then we said 5 to 9 is 1 shah. Okay. It's 1 sheep. So here they say from 121, okay, to 125. You got hiqqatan, you got this previous threshold here. Plus, you've got a sheep. And there's one table I don't know if I can share my book with you. In one of these books, the person who wrote an explanation of Quduri, you'll find it online, the same book. He's one of the only ones who put a table here. I'll show it to you. I'll show you here. This is Al-Lubab. Al-Lubab is an explanation of Quduri, Tahqiq Saeed Bagdash. So yeah, I put it for you. Look here. Where is this? See? 91 to 120, and then 125 to 129. Look, if you find this book here, look here. It's called Al-Lubab, fi Sharh al-Kitab. Okay? That's 91 to 120, 121 to 124, sorry. Here, if you look at this one, there's nothing. Hold on a second. 1 to 4. So if you add 4 here, you've got nothing. It's also my mistake. So here, 121 to 124 is still going to be hiqqatan, okay? Cancel this. And you got 125. So exactly how you did with the sheep, that are the 125 to 129. You're going to have hiqqatan with 1 shah. Why did he say that? He said that because the first 4 here are afu. Afu means they're forgiven. So can you see here? 1 to 4, you didn't pay anything. 1 to 4, you didn't pay anything. So what's 120 plus 4? You get 224. Then 125 to 129 is hiqqatan plus shah. It's only the Hanafi madhab from 120 going up. The others have a different system. Then you get to 130 to 134. You have hiqqatan plus 2 sheep or shatan, okay? And then you go from 135 to 139. hiqqatan 3 shiyah. And then you got 140. So 144. Got hiqqatan 4 shiyah. Okay. And then you move on 145 to 150. Let's come to this one here. What's this one? This one is 25 to 35 is here, correct? But here was bint makhad. Makhad. So here 145, because they want you to reset at 150, they stop you at 149. They say hiqqatan wa bint makhad. Okay. This, and draw a line here. And then you find what's going to come in the next lesson. From 150 and above will be forever. So you take it in groups of 50s. So 150 to 200 will be exactly the same as 200 to 250, but you'll just be adding these hiqqatan. Okay. So today what I want you to go from 121 to 150. I'll send you this guy's table that he put in the book. He put a very nice table. So you got 120. 91 to 120 is hiqqatan. Then these 2 hiqqatan come down here. You got 121 to 124. That's hiqqatan only. Why? Because in the Hanafi madhab here, they're saying 1 to 4, you don't have anything, and you'll also put it here, you won't pay anything. Then they start from 125. 125 to 129, hiqqatan wa shah. 130 to 134, hiqqatan wa shatan. 135 to 139, You got حقتان وثلاث شياه 140 to 144. حقتان وأربع شياه 145 to 149. You've got حقتان وبنت مخاض. Why بنت مخاض? Because that's the first one that comes here. Okay. بنت مخاض. And then inshallah tomorrow you'll take, now from 150 going upwards, the rule is 1. So 150 to 200, and the rule goes up in sets of 50. So you'll find 150 to so much, to so much, to so much, to so much, and then eventually you get to 200. And then whatever answer you get here, so just exclude this, for example. This is what carries over, this hiqqatan, and then later it will become thalathu hiqaq here. This will always carry over. Okay, then it will carry over here. So from 150 to 200, instead of 2 hiqqas, you're going to have 3. And then from 200 to 250, you're going to have 4 hiqqas. Okay, so we'll carry on. We'll just carry on going here. And as for this 150 to 200, it has its nisab, which is almost the same as this. It's just you're going to add a bintu labun. Because if you look from 120 to 150, what's 120 to 150? You've got 30 in between. So 150 minus 120, you're accounting for 30 extra sheep. However, from 150 to 200, you're accounting for 50 extra sheep. And then you always account for 50 extra sheep, and then it resets. So from 200 to 250, it's 50 extra, you reset. And then this hiqqa will carry on increasing by 1. And then from 251 up to 300, again, you reset after 50. So did you guys understand, or do you have any questions?
The thing you just said is for tomorrow?
Yeah, so I'm just trying to give you an overview. For tomorrow, we'll take from 150 to 200. And after you've taken 150 to 200, then the rule never changes. You go up in sets of 50 and you'll take this. So whatever you take from tomorrow, then you can build up to 100 million even. It's okay. And the other madhahib, they rules that's consecutive starts after 120. So the minute you go up in 10, so at 130 it will be something, 140 it will be something, 150, but it's a consecutive rule which will tell you in every 40 you either give this, and every 50 you either give this. And you find after you pass 120 you can always divide it. You can, your mathematics will be such that you can always fit a 40 and a 50 in it. And you'll get to learn those, inshallah. For now, the main thing I want you to understand is there's different thresholds when it comes to zakatul ibil. There's different animals you have to give. As long as you understand that slowly, you'll be able to understand the different thresholds. You'll be able to memorize them, understand them. Thereafter, you move to zakatul baqar, cows, and then you move to ghanam, sheep and goats. Thereafter, you move to al-hubub wal-thimar or zuru', which is to do with farming your crops and seeds. Thereafter, you move to gold, silver, and stock, inshallah. Any questions? The only reason I mentioned this is just so you guys know that from tomorrow, after you've learned this, then every 50, the rule just stays the same, stays the same, stays the same. Any questions?
For some more than 3 sheep, you call them Shia?
Shia, yes. Shatun, shatani, and then thalathu shia. So, sheen, ya, that's a sheen, ya, alif, and your ta marbuta or ha. Ha, shia.
All right. I was kind of confused because Shia also means sect.
Oh, no, this is Shia, not Shia, Shia. Anyways, what I want to ask you guys is, a person who has to give hiqqatan wa shah, if a person has to pay 2 hiqqas and 1 sheep, how old are these 2 hiqqas here? Hiqqa is how old? Anyone?
Yeah.
3 years old.
It's 3. A feminine camel is 3 years old.
3 years old. طيب. Shah is how old? How old should the sheep be? Also 3?
Sheikh, oh, 1 year old.
1 year old. I told you that in the first lesson. Ahsant, well done. Okay, we'll stop there, inshallah. Next subject I want to take is this one. Move this. Remind me to send you this table in this book. It's one of the only books I found where he put a table in the book, and it says وَفِيمَا يَلِي جَدْوَلٌ, and then he gives you everything. I should just mark that. Right. What's our next subject for today? What did you guys take last week, Monday and Tuesday? Names of Allah? Yeah. Who can give me a recap? How many does Allah only have? 99 names? Umar from India.
Allah has more than 99 names. But, we have told that if you ponder over 99 names and get those meanings, and it will enter Jannah.
Man ahsaha dakhala al-jannah. We said the meaning of ihsa, the scholars differ. Some say that we said the most encompassing explanation is whoever reads them, understands them, practices upon them, memorizes them, then they enter into Jannah, inshallah, uses them to call out to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Inshallah, today we'll start off with one of the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The first name that most of the books that explain the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala begin with, and that is obviously his name, Allah. Allah is the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that comes the most in the Quran. Some of the scholars mention more than 2,700 times. A lot of them have an exact number. But what's easy to say, nobody will say you made a mistake, roughly more than 2,700 times. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala introduces himself to Musa alayhi salam, he says, Innani an Allah. Indeed, I am Allah. When he's telling us about his great names, he starts off by saying, Walillahi al-asma'ul husna. For Allah are the great names. And that's why some of the scholars mention that Allah, the meaning of Allah is the worshipped one. Al-ilah, it comes from alif lam and ha, the root word, and that refers to worship. So Allah is the worshipped one, the one who deserves to be worshipped. And every single name and attribute that he then teaches us or gives us or shows us is to explain this oneness, this fact that he deserves to be worshipped. If you ponder over the kalima, the shahada, what enters a person into Islam, you find that the name of Allah is there, La ilaha illallah. Some of the scholars mention that when you look at this shahada, this kalima, it's made such that when a person recites it, the lips don't move. La ilaha illallah, your lips don't have to move, it's the tongue that moves. And that's, wallahu alam, one of the signs and miracles of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to show that even if a person is in whatever state they may be, as long as they're able to move their tongue, they're able to utter the shahada. When we begin our salah, we start with the name of Allah. When we end off our salah, you find the last word you say is also Allah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. I one day heard a sheikh mention this, and it was quite mind-boggling. He was speaking about the virtues of the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And one of the things he mentioned, he says, look at the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Look at the power of his name. You find that just when his name is uttered, when it comes to establishing the salah, the minute the imam says, Allahu Akbar, it begins in the name of Allah. Everything comes to a standstill. You could be in a masjid where there's 1,000, 100,000. You could be in Makkah where there's millions of people, and everybody comes to a standstill and they follow exactly as they ordered to do. They follow the imam in salah. Nobody's doing whatever they want to do. Nobody's talking. Nobody's making a noise. Power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, miracle. And you find It's only by the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that's mentioned again are they allowed to then carry on with their normal lives and return back to normal. The minute the Imam says, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Also, when you ponder over this name, you find most of the adhkar and most of the du'as mentioned in the Quran, mentioned in the hadith, the du'as of the Anbiya alayhimus salatu wassalam, they have Allah in them. So they call out to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by his great name, Allah. And also when a person says Allahumma, it literally means, Oh Allah. So you're calling out to Allah, Allahumma inni as'aluka ilman nafi'a. Oh Allah, I ask you for beneficial knowledge, etc. As we mentioned that one of the meanings of the name Allah is the worshipped one. He is the only one who deserves to be worshipped. Another name or another meaning of the name Allah is the souls love him. He is loved for the fact that he is the worshipped one. And the minute you ponder and you understand that Allah is the worshipped one, and why is he worshipped? Because he has many great names, many great attributes. He is the one who created. He is the one who nourished. He is the one who looked after. He is the one who sustains. He is the one who gives honor. He is the most kind, the most generous, the most merciful. Surely the one who possesses these great attributes and these great names deserves to be worshipped. When you look in some of the adhkar, you find that the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he mentions that the best words that a person can say are Subhanallah, glory be to Allah, Alhamdulillah, praise be to Allah, La ilaha illallah, also no one worthy of worship except Allah, and Allahu Akbar. Allah is the greatest. So notice how this name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in every single place, or in most du'as, in most adhkar. And what's interesting to mention is the human being has been created such that the heart has a void. And this void can only be filled with the worship of something. So you find those who don't worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for example, they end up worshiping something else. It could be money, it could be another person, it could be an inanimate object. Why? Because the heart is made, its nature is such that it has to submit to something. There's a void in it. And whether you even if you hadn't read that fact, if you just had to look around in humanity at large, you find that no matter how powerful a person may be, no matter how intelligent they may be, no matter how wealthy they may be, there's something or some being, and at times it's Allah, at times it's things other than Allah, that they have to submit to. That's the human being by default, by nature, especially when you find the human being in its weakest of states. So you find a person is going through difficulties, going through hardship. He has to look for something to fill that void. And hence we learn from the name Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, from the name Allah, the worshipped one, he deserves to be worshipped. And from that, we learn that the fact he deserves to be worshipped means that we should love him. Imagine, Allah is the one who created you. Allah is the one who deserves to be worshipped. Allah is the one who gave you everything. So surely a person should love him. A person should go out of his way to be in the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. At the end of the day, whatever you have comes from Allah. And whatever he takes from you, he originally gave it to you. And he is the one who gives you gifts and bounties and things for a period of time, and then he takes them back. The name Allah is not mentioned on anything which is little except that it increases it. And it's not mentioned on anything except that it gives barakah. And that's why a person, whenever he starts any action, any act of worship generally, he begins in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You want to recite the Quran, you begin in the name of Allah. You want to do something, we always taught to say Bismillah. Bismillah. What does it mean? I begin in the name of Allah. Who is Allah? This great being who deserves to be worshipped. Him alone. He alone deserves to be worshipped. And that's why you find that the kalima or the shahada, La ilaha illallah, is the heaviest thing in the scales on the day of judgment. And that's what enters the person into Jannah bi'idhnillah, obviously by the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but this deed has to be present, which is a belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. That's why Allah says he will forgive all sins except shirk. What's shirk? Shirk is where a person did not recognize who this being was, why I was created, why did he created me. He did not realize that the meaning of Allah is He Himself and He alone deserves to be worshipped. So the moment a person goes to worship everything else, he's failed his test. Hence Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that He will forgive all sins except shirk. Shirk is where a person associates partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, worships other than Him, and dies upon that. Any questions when it comes to this? Also, what I didn't mention is there's the name Allah, and then one of the other names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Al-Ilah. Al-Ilah also means the worshipped ones, the worshipped one. But as you can see, it sounds slightly different, but the meaning is roughly the same. It comes from the same root word where it's derived Allah and Al-Ilah. And that's why one of the best names is Abdullah, the servant of Allah. And you also find people name their children Abdul Ilah, the servant of, again, the one, the worshipped one. Umar.
What's the meaning of Rabbi?
We will get there, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Rabb will come, inshallah. Anything else? Anything anybody wants to add?
Sheikh, I have a question here.
Yeah.
Regarding the shirk, the people who leave the fold of Islam, those who becomes atheist, and then so this is also a shirk, but
And then what?
and if they repent, if they come back, so
Yeah, so if they come back, again, I did explain to you that there's certain masail which are differed upon. So if a person left Islam, and this is Islamic belief, person left Islam, and then they came back to Islam, what happens to their deeds that they did before? Wallahu a'lam, Allah knows best, but their deeds will remain. But Allah knows best. Some say no, their deeds were all cancelled and they start again, but Allah knows best, their deeds remain. And there is tawbah for a person as long as they haven't yet passed away. Naeem?
Sheikh, I got into a discussion with one of my
Wait,
Christian friends.
hold on. I still need to teach Arabic. If you got any question regarding Allah, ask. Otherwise, after the lesson.
Okay, after the lesson, Sheikh.
After the lesson.
What was the point you mentioned after humans always have to worship someone?
No, so it's mentioned, and a lot of the scholars mention this, and you can see it when you look around. It says the heart has a void. A void means it has something missing, where it needs to be subservient. It needs to submit to somebody or something, and that void for the Muslim is filled by submitting to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you find those who don't, they submit to everything else. So when it comes to, it could be money, it could be fame, it could be somebody else, but that's generally in everything. Just look around. You find those who don't worship the creator, they'll worship money in the sense that they will do anything for money. If they don't do it for money, they'll do it for somebody else. They'll do anything for them, or they'll do it for some other worldly thing. Or at times it may be they may render worship to an inanimate object. Why? Because there's that void, that thing that's missing, that needs to be filled. So if you don't fulfill it when it comes to Allah, when it comes to submitting to the one who created you, you're going to fulfill it somewhere else. Alam Gheer, question regarding the name Allah or something else? Something else I'm not taking.
Sheikh, specifically to the name Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sheikh, in the Ajam, especially in the subcontinent, people call Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with the names like in a different language. Like we say God in English, they say Khuda. Is it acceptable?
What? I don't know what's the meaning of Huda.
This is a Persian word, actually. It came from Farsi. So in the whole of India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Afghanistan, they call Huda, which means, I don't know, it's very common, you know, but alhamdulillah, I didn't say it.
Find out the meaning and come and tell us.
I know the meaning. Huda is basically the same thing as God, as in English, like deity.
So maybe it's a translation for them. As long as there's no shirk involved, then there's no harm, inshallah. As long as a person knows what you're speaking about. That's why sometimes when you find even in Arabic, when they're describing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, some will say, Huwa al-ma'bud. He is the worshipped one. Ma'bud is not a name of Allah, but it shows to describe him. At times when we speaking in English, you say, the Almighty, the most merciful. Did Allah tell us in the Quran? Is there a word they're saying merciful or Almighty? No, it says Ar-Rahman. But they don't know they don't know the meaning of it, so you translate. You understood?
Yes, Sheikh.
Again, as I mentioned, as long as there's no shirk involved, sometimes people give names to Allah. However, there's or they describe him or they translate certain names. However, there's shirk and association involved. So, for example, if when people call Allah the father of humankind, for example, that's we don't believe in that. That's wrong according to Islamic belief. Allah is one, huwa al-ahad as-samad, the one and only. Everything and everybody is in need of him. And he has no son, which also means he has no partner and he has no children, etc. He is one, the one and only, the magnificent as he is, subhanah. No other question? Sheikh Umar, you had sent us a very good paper. I want to go through that. Let me open that. It will allow you guys to start with this before we get into Thulathi Mujarrad, Thulathi Mazid, and that type of thing. Can you see my screen? Can't see. Right. Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. We had started off with sarf, and I gave you a brief idea of how there's a certain scale that you can measure words with. Okay, Omar had sent this small document to us, and in it there's a lot of detail. We'll go through it slowly but surely. What I want to get at is we took nouns, okay? We took verbs, and we took huruf or particles. We took the nahu part, the grammar part. Now we're getting to the sarf. The sarf is if you are given a word, okay? Let's say you're given a fi'l. Fi'l is a verb. The first category is it could come from 3 letters. Which 3 letters are we talking about? Take it to fi'l madi, take it to the past tense, and take it to masculine and make it one only, singular. So for example, nasara and daraba, he helped or he hit, etc. So here he's given you nasara, okay? Nasara is to help, or he helped, to be more specific. Then from here, you're able to get to the future tense or the present tense, which is fi'l mudari. This is fi'l madi. What does this show you? We said that the scale they gave you to measure was fa, ayn, and lam, fa'ala. So if somebody had to ask you, what's the wazn, what's the weight of nasara, you would take all the harakat exactly as they are and put fa, ayn, and lam. So nasara is equivalent to fa'ala, okay? And yansuru, which is fi'l mudari', is equal to Umar, you sent it to us.
Ulu.
Ulu, ahsant. Can you see here? Because there's a dhamma, so you put a dhamma on the ayn. So this is nasara yansuru is equivalent to fa'ala yaf'ulu. Why did they take everything back to one form of measurement, if we could put it that way? Fa'ala yaf'alu and fa'ala yaf'ulu, etc. Just to make it easy for you. Why did they do all that? Is so then you're able to derive what's called a fa'il. So if you look at the word fa'il, every time you guys say, for example, ja'a zaydun, zaydun is fa'il. If you look at the word fa'il is always marfu' because it's ala wazni fa'il. So look at this. From this word here, this root word, you are able to derive past tense, you are able to derive present tense. You then able to derive ism fa'il. If you look at nasirun, what's the wazn of nasirun? Nun is equivalent to a fa, as we took here. The alif is extra, so we'll add it there. So that's fa. And then the sad is equivalent to an ayn with a kasra, fa'i. And then lun. The lam will have two dhammas, same like this ra. So that's the benefit. You're able to derive ism fa'il. Then you're able to do what's called mabni lil majhul. Majhul is where you don't know who carried out the action. You don't know the fa'il. So this is nusira, and that we'll get to. So he was helped. Notice how here he helped. He is the actual fa'il, the doer. Here he was helped. You don't know who helped him. Then you get to yunsar and nusrat and the same help. فَهُوَ مَنْصُورٌ. Mansur, what's the wazn of Mansur? Maf'ul. All the time when we say maf'ul bih, mansub. Why? Because it's the object, the action was done on this thing or this person. So Mansur ala wazni maf'ul. And we'll get al-amr, you're able to derive an order from this. You're able to have a nahi where you stop somebody from doing something, like say don't do it. And al-dharf, as he's put here, is time or place. And then they give you another one. Fataha, yaftahu. So look at how the first one was. Ala wazni nasara was fa'ala, and yansuru was yaf'ulu. This one is fa'ala and yaf'alu. And they give you an example of fa'ala yaf'alu, and you get into the same thing. Fa'il, fatih, maftuh, maf'ul. Okay, then you got daraba yadribu. Notice how this one's changing, and eventually at the end it gives you the breakdown. I'm sure you gave us a summary of it. Did you not give us a summary at the end, Omar?
No, it's just different from families. It does not have the summary.
These are all different, but basically, let's go to this board here. I can show you. Let's come here. For now, all I want you to understand is that when you've got this, when we're speaking about sarf, we can look at an ism, which are your nouns, and we look at fi'l, which are your verbs, okay? Right now we are here. We are here. Right. Then your fi'l can come into the first category, which they call thulathi. Thulathi from thalatha. The word is made up of 3 letters. Thulathi. Or it could be made up of 4 letters, and that we haven't taken yet. Now, when it's made up of 3 letters, when it's made up of 3, and there's no additions to it. So here, 3 original letters. You can have at times an addition or 2 or 3. Right now, we're only taking the first category where there's no additions. So they call it thulathi mujarrad. Mujarrad means it's free from any addition. Or you can have what's called mazid. Mazid is where it's originally 3, but they've added a little bit. So we only taking this part here for today. Only this part here. And I'm going to give you guys homework. So what they told you, when you want to look at your sarf, and you're looking at fi'l, you're looking at verbs, you then go to those which are made of 3 letters. So for example, daraba and nasara and sami'a and fataha and dhahaba, etc. All these, you're able to derive or you're able to build on the wazn that they give you, then you're able to derive whatever you want from there. And they give you the different awzan. So they give you 6 wazns. They all fa, ayn, and lam. And for mudari', ya, fa, ayn, and lam. Omar, since you did this before, tell us how many abwab you got here, or how many ways is it possible to say when it comes to thulathi mujarrad, which is sahih, how many ways is it possible? What can come here?
Not sure.
It's in the book you gave us.
Yeah, I've seen. Okay, so basically there are 14 families in it, in which the 6 are made up of 3 letters, in the Sulasi, and
Yeah, we're talking about the 6. We're talking about 6.
Yeah, so it goes with Nasara Yansuru, and the second
give
one
me ala
starts.
wazni fa'ala. Nasara is an example. Give me ala wazni fa'ala.
Fa'ala Yafulu.
Start with fa'ala yaf'ulu. What's an example? So what's an example of that? So look at how you've got fatha here, fa'ala. Okay. Yaf'ulu. What's an example of this one?
Nasara Yansuru.
Nasara yansur. Okay. Next one.
Fa'ala Yaf'alu.
Fa'ala yaf'alu. What's an example of that one?
Fataha Yaftahu.
Fataha yaftahu. So can you see there's other words that may come on the same wazn, but he's just given you fataha yaftahu just to make it easy for you. So here you've got yaftahu. Okay, so here you gave us the example of fataha. Next one.
So is Sami Hasiba Yahsibu, meaning Fa'ala Yaf'ilu. Fa'ila Yaf'ilu.
Fa'ila. So here you're putting a kasra, so it's not exactly the same. Fa'ila is the same as hasiba. Huh? So okay, for those of you who haven't taken this, are you understanding how when somebody says, what's the wazn of this? You're just going back, simple. You're just going back to this fa, ayn, and lam, and you see if it has a kasra or dhamma. So hasiba is not the same as fa'ala. No, it's hasiba is the same as fa'ila. Why did they do it like that? Just to make it easy for you. So what you got, hasiba, then?
Samia
What's
Yasma'u.
hasiba is what? Hasiba is what? Yaf'ilu or yaf'alu?
Yaf'ilu.
Why yaf'ilu?
Hasiba Yahsibu. So Fa'ila Yaf'ilu.
There's some of them you can say 2 ways. I want you to go and check hasiba. Why can't you say yahsabu?
I don't know why I've learned it.
Huh?
I do not know, Sheikh. I have learned it in a one way.
You learned hasiba being yahsibu, huh?
Yeah.
Go find me another one.
I guess it's Yasiba Yahsabu. I'm making some mistake. It's Yasiba Yahsab.
No, some of them you can say 2 ways. What do you say? أيحسب الإنسان أن لن نجمع عظامه. المهم. Carry on. Give me the 4th
one. I got confused. Yeah. Samia Yasma'u.
Okay. Anybody? Hold on. Anybody else who learned Samia Yasma'u is also fa'ila. Yasma'u is yaf'alu. Huh?
Yeah.
Anybody else who's learned sarf before or no? Nobody else? Okay, give me 5 and 6.
It's 6th one is Karuma Yakmuru, meaning Fa'ula Yafulu. Yakrumu, sorry.
Karuma is fa'ula, huh?
Yeah.
When they teach you the awzan, they usually tell you hasiba yahsibu, huh? So karuma fa'ula.
Fa'ula yaklumu.
Yaf'ulu. Karuma yakrumu. Huh?
Yeah. Yakrumu.
And the last one?
Last one, I can't remember. Fataha Tahu.
You gave me that one.
It's done. Okay. I can't remember, Sheikh.
Okay, let's go through them one by one. If you guys notice, what's changing here is the ayn. This is what's changing. Where's my next pen? Here's what's changing. This is changing. So to summarize, let's summarize for you guys.
Sheikh, if we go through the order in which they have given, the first
Hold on.
three.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me give you one. Either we said fa, ayn, and lam, okay? Fa, ayn, lam, and ya, fa, ayn, and lam, okay? Either, let's see, hopefully we have enough colors. Either you can have fathul aynain, okay? Where both ayns here have a fatha. So that's fa'ala yaf'alu, which is equal to fataha yaftahu, okay? Or you can have dhammul aynain. So fa'ula yaf'ulu, okay? Which is example sharufa yashrufu. Or you can have kasrul aynain, which is fa'ila yaf'ilu, which is the one you gave us, hasiba yahsibu. So it's already easy for you guys. You know that it's either two dhammas, two fathas, or two kasras. Extremely easy. And that's 3 for today. Okay. The fact that these 3 are easy, I want you guys to learn these, and I want you to go and find 5 words each, or 5 af'al each on these 3 awzan. So I want fa'ala yaf'alu, give me 5 different words, and fa'ula yaf'ulu, 5 different words, and fa'ila yaf'ilu, 5 different words. And you can use the PDF that Omar sent to see, are you able to extract that ism fa'il also, and ism maf'ul also. As for majhul, don't worry about it now. Any questions? Then tomorrow we take the next 3, inshallah. Any question? No questions? If you guys didn't understand. You understood or you didn't understand?